thank you all so much for being here after a busy ocean discovery day. I hope that you either enjoyed volunteering or looking at the different exhibits. A reminder that so is happening tomorrow, so hopefully you'll join us again for some more fun. So thank you for attending the seminar. I know today was busy. Today's speaker is Atsushi Matsuoka. He's a satellite and optical oceanographer here at UNH. He received a doctorate in the fields of satellite oceanography and biooptics from Hokkaido University and conducted postdoctoral research in France and Canada. His research activities extend from examining in situ relationships between optical properties and microbes and phytoplankton to monitor much broader scale global climate change from space. His most significant research contributions include establishing fundamental relationships among optical properties and constituents observed in the ocean based on in situ, observations, introducing these relationships into a radiative transfer model, and developing algorithms and applying them to satellite data to retrieve and monitor geophysical and biogeochemical variables with reasonable uncertainties. In recent years, his research has focused on examining the impact of ongoing climate change on Arctic coastal environments. With these knowledge and experience, he's now working on water quality monitoring and eelgrass resiliency projects in New England. So please join me in welcoming Atsushi.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Sorry for the long abstract. And thank you very much for coming today. I know that this is a very busy day, especially after the ocean discovery days. Really appreciate it. Today I'm going to talk about the Arctic climate change. So my research been pretty much focused on the Arctic environmental changes, including sea ice decline, permafrost. Although my talk today is pretty much oriented for the Arctic research, I'd like to mention that some of the knowledge gained from this Arctic research can be pretty useful for other coastal environments, such as one in New England waters. So this is a big title, Impact of Ongoing Climate Change on Arctic Coastal Environments. So my name is Atsushi Matsuoka, by the way, from Marine School of Marine Science and Ocean Engineering. I would say I'm relatively new to UNH. I moved here January 2021 during the COVID period. And since then, I have been involved in several projects, including one in the Great Bay and Gulf of Maine as well. So before we dive into this topic, I'd like to acknowledge several funding sources which supported my research over the last few years. So we have 4 components today, or section. So first, I will talk about why I've been working on the Arctic environments changes and why ocean color remote sensing. In terms of process studies, remote sensing is restricted. So I'd like to show some of the example about process studies based on the laboratory experiment and also numerical model activities. And finally, I will show some example on what I'm working on in the Great Bay and Gulf of Maine. So first, why Arctic? So as everybody knows, global warming is happening now. What is particularly important from this figure is that temperature increase is very significant in the high northern latitude, as shown in these figures. What is particularly important because of this global warming for the Arctic environment is that, as you know, sea ice has been decreasing over the last 4 decades. This newly opened area is now responsible for atmospheric CO2 sink. Arctic Ocean is pretty small ocean. Actually, the volume is only 1% of the global ocean, However, relative to this volume, this ocean receives a significant amount of CO2, up to 14%, the global scale. Because of this newly opened area, light is available. So recent study shows that primary production through the phytoplankton photosynthetic processes has increased over the last 2 decades. I will come back to this topic in a minute. Same story here in the Southern Ocean, although this ocean is bigger than the Arctic. The volume of the Southern Ocean is 5% of the global ocean. Let's see much more than the Arctic, which is 25% of the global. So very significant. This CO2 sink into the ocean is due to the physical chemical effect. It's called a solubility pump. Same story here in the Southern Ocean. We also have observed a significant increase in primary production. So this slide summarizes what I mentioned so far. Actually, when we look at these numbers, compared to solubility pump, biological pump contribution, which is phytoplankton photosynthetic CO2 uptake from the atmosphere into the water, is very small. It means that even if sea ice of the Arctic Ocean is completely disappear, which is predicted by 2040 in the Arctic summer, this contribution in terms of CO2 sink by biological processes might be pretty small portion. Instead, terrestrial effect might be very significant. I will show you why I'm saying that. Indeed, Arctic Ocean is surrounded by continent, which include huge amount of organic carbon stored in soils, including permafrost. It is estimated to be 1,000 in the top 3 meters, very thin layers, a significant amount, which is equivalent to that contained in the atmosphere nowadays, and over 50% of global carbon stock. So huge amount of carbon is stored in the Arctic regions. The question is, how much carbon is being delivered to the Arctic coast, and how this impacts on global climate system? So when you walk on the Arctic, you see a pretty much similar landscape of collapsing permafrost. This is pretty common, unfortunately. I've seen many times in the Arctic. The question is how much CO2 or methane can be released due to this collapsing landscape. This is not new research topic. This has been pointed out by many publications, including IPCC report 2009, 7, 13, 2019. So we need to know how this Arctic environment, including land-ocean continuum, might impact on the global climate system. This is not only for the local area climate system, but also like global scale. To do that, it would be ideal to estimate a carbon stock over the land, but because of pretty complex vegetation, soil time, as shown in these pictures, might be very challenging to estimate carbon, or even difficult to keep tracking the changes of organic carbon fluxes over the land. So my study have focused on the coastal region, where a lot of organic carbons, including permafrost, can be delivered to. So we focus on this area, and also Canada, Mackenzie area. So ocean color plays a major role for keep tracking the changes of the organic matter in these waters. So now I'd like to introduce how the ocean color works briefly. So this schematic diagram represents how the ocean color works. So this is sensors located at the top of the atmosphere, which is about 700, 800 kilometers from the sea level. So this sensor receives radiance, upwelling radiance at the top of the atmosphere. When normalized relative to incoming solar radiation, this is called reflectance instead. So reflectance has a lot of components. So major components include pulse radiance. This is due to the air molecule and aerosol in the atmosphere, which contribute actually 90% of total signatures at the top of the atmosphere. So we need to be very careful to remove this part, to look at the ocean particularly. Another component is sun glint, we call. So when you face to the sun over the water, you see like a very bright reflection. This is a sun glint. When you approach to the coast or approach to the sea ice, you have a sea ice contamination or snow. We call it adjacency effect or some pixel contamination. So when you approach the coast, we have like adjacency effect due to the landmass. So to remove this component, to be able to see the water changes, this process is called atmospheric correction. Then we are now able to retrieve water reflectance, which include information from water, such as phytoplankton, CCOM, colored dissolved organic matters, suspended sediments, or many others. Using a bi-optical model that links between diffractance and absorption scattering processes, we are able to retrieve this component from the reflectance. Now we are looking at the water itself. As I said, we have 3 processes ongoing in the water: absorption, such as phytoplankton, organic matter; backscatter by suspended sediment, for example. This has a bidirectionality, so we need to take into account this directional component as well. As I mentioned, so this reflectance that can be obtained at the top of the atmosphere is related to the absorption and backscatter in the water constituent. That's why by applying this bi-optical model, we will be able to retrieve this kind of components such as phytoplankton, CCOM, SPM, and many others. To do that, we needed to have like a baseline optical properties to be able to develop the bi-optical model. So I have participated in several Arctic cruises, as shown here, over the last 20 years. It's crazy to me. I cannot believe it, but actually it's already 20 years. Starting from when I was a master's student already, and continuously participated in the Arctic ocean cruises to obtain this kind of data. This red marks represent actual sampling station in the Arctic Ocean. So these are bases for developing the bi-optical model to be able to retrieve water constituent from space. So now I'm talking about the coastal environments. As the title said, we try to track the organic matters changes in the context of land-ocean continuum. This is one example from the ongoing European project that I'm involved. So this schematic diagram nicely represents several processes, not only for the organic matters originating from grasping permafrost, but actually not only for natural sciences, but also this permafrost flow is very important for local communities. For example, like this thawing will impact the housing infrastructures, for example. And also we know that the permafrost includes a lot of contaminants. This can be released to the drinking waters for local communities. So there are several issues associated with permafrost. But in my talk, I will talk about or how we trace these organic matters coming from the terrestrial parts. In this particular study, we focus on the northern Canada Arctic region, Mackenzie Delta. For your information, the Mackenzie River, the watershed of the Mackenzie is pretty similar to Mississippi. That obviously goes southward, but this goes northward. This is one of the model area because we have a lot of the discontinuous and continuous permafrost in the upstream region. Ongoing, the climate change already impacting in this area. There are several publications about this topic. And also, long-term data is available, like meteorological, such as air temperature, precipitation, active layer depths, river discharge, and so on. So this data will be very useful to compare our studies, our results. So this is a zoom of this Mackenzie area to simply show how dynamics of this river discharge or river plume is. So to look at the long-term trend, we look at the available satellite imagery from 1998 to 2019. It's almost 20 years. In this particular case, we use the Morrison series simply to have a longest time series. This satellite is a polar orbiting satellite, meaning that when you look at the polar seas, like high latitude, we have several overpasses per day. Although the Arctic region is pretty cloudy, this number of the data per day somehow compensate this issue. So before we started to work on that, somebody say, hey, Arctic is very cloudy, no ocean color data available. Okay, we started to look at the how many the images actually available per month. For the Arctic, images are available from June to September because this is a period when there's no sea ice. So when we look at this statistics, this is the number of seen per month, June, July, August, September. This is like a summarized result relative to this upper panel. So we found that, on average, over 15 images available. So this provided us a confidence that, okay, we can move forward. Apart from this, we also developed the semi-analytical algorithm for estimating dissolved and particulate organic carbon from space. By comparing directly to in situ data, we also determine uncertainty for DOC plus minus 28% and POC plus minus 35%. I will come back to this topic to examine if this uncertainty impacts on the long-term trend or not. Oh, this is a weird videos, but very important. Okay. All right. So actually, this is one of the good results actually. But okay, let's say the previous figures. This is supposed to show DOC flux in wet from satellite versus in situ measurement. So black line is an in situ DOC flux in this weird figure, just like the imagination. A red color represents satellite estimates. So first we compare totally independent estimates, satellite in red versus in situ measurement. So previous figures actually shows pretty good correlation. It's hard to say without any figures now, but just believe me, it was pretty good. And we also look at the concentration. This also provides us a confidence due to this good consistency between the totally independent estimate. So this provided us the confidence to proceed further. So what I wanted to show is that when you look at the long-term trend in September, when active layer is deepened, we detected a significant trend for DOC and POC over the 20 years using satellite data alone, which is pretty consistent with what we learned from the literatures. Arctic has a very significant or dynamic seasonality. For example, in June or May, the late spring, a significant amount of fresh waters will be discharged into the coast during the spring freshet period. In that period, organic matter mainly originate from vascular plant, which are approximately like a few hundred of years, so like relatively modern organic matters. Whereas when you look at the data, like in situ data, I mean, in September, again, when the active layer is deepened, we have observed the significant amount of permafrost originating organic carbon. So that is the main reason why we look at the trend for individual months. And again, I'm sorry, I don't have any figures to show that, but in September, we detected a significant trend for DOC and POC using, again, only satellite data, which is consistent with literature. To support these results, we also examine totally independent in situ data, which is shown here. This includes precipitation, air temperature, active layer depths, and river discharge. So all provided the confidence that this satellite estimate looks reasonably well, but also suggest that based on this results, hydrological connection is getting more active due to global warming, due to the thawing of the permafrost. So this schematic diagram briefly summarizes what I showed in addition to what we learned from the literature. For example, as you know, the sea ice has been decreasing over the last decades. Recent papers show that this local sea ice degrees is directly linked to the local precipitation. And this also linked to the river discharge, evaporation processes, and this induces the higher fluxes of the organic matter from land to the oceans. I know this is a pretty schematic diagram, more easy way, like a simplified way, but this is what we think by summarizing several literature reviews as well as our own results. Using satellite data, as I mentioned at the beginning, we cannot say detailed processes. So in this section, I will briefly show some results based on the incubation and also numerical models. So to examine the processes in the active environment, we conducted a major field campaign as a part of the European project. Because of this dynamic region, the spring freshet all the way to the late summer, it was logistically very challenging, especially for the spring freshet period. So we decided to use a combination of several platforms. For example, the early spring, we used a helicopter, landed on ice and made a hole and deploy a sensor through it. And also we use a small bore wheel to get the water samples. During the spring freshet, again, this is a very dangerous period. So we use a hovering helicopter. We deploy several instruments from hovering helicopters. And we also got the water samples. So to do that, I needed to have like a helicopter teaching courses several times. It was very challenging, but and later in the summer, we use a small boat to access to this ground. This is the result led by my former student as a part of this project. The main objective was to determine how the quality as well as quantity of different organic matters influence microbe activities. This is important because depending on the quality of organic matters, bacteria can release CO2 back to the atmosphere. Sounds like a pretty small portion, but actually this is a major portion as a CO2 source back to the atmosphere. So he read this project by taking samples from different locations, for example, like fluvial, laxwin, and moraine, and he used the water samples from the Arctic and incubated to see how this microbe react to the individual different soil types. And what he found that even for very old permafrost, which is like several thousand of years old organic matters, bacteria actually respond to it pretty quickly. It means that within 2 weeks, this permafrost originating organic carbon was taken up within 2 weeks, like over 50%. This is one of the major findings from his study. And this was associated with the gamma proteobacteria. To be honest, I'm not very familiar with DNA, RNA stuff, but this is very specific to this kind of very old organic matters related bacteria. We also use the state-of-the-art numerical model, biogeochemical models. So in this particular study, we incorporated the satellite long-term trend as I showed you before, as well as like incubation results into the model to first better understand the processes. And also we try to predict what will happen in the near future. This is one of the highlighted results from the mentioned study. This study also led by my former student. So one of the highlights of this study was that including river components, which also include the permafrost DOC. If you include this component, Arctic river discharge river system show that this system is like a significant source of CO2 rather than CO2 sink. So we thought for a long time that, okay, even though the rivers can be, source of CO2, but because of the wide area, we thought that as a net, Arctic can be a sink of CO2. But actually, by carefully including this river component, we have seen that this can flip toward outgassing to the atmosphere. So this is something that we need to explore more, because in this particular study, we look at only the Mackenzie data. Now we are including the Eurasian rivers. As you know, you have a lot of rivers, like a large river, including Lena, Yenisei, and all. So we are including these rivers as well, just to estimate how much CO2 can be released back to the atmosphere, and how this impact on the climate system at the global scale. Since I moved to UNH, I've been getting more involved in the coastal resiliency project, like water quality monitoring or eelgrass resiliency project. Because of my background is like Arctic research, as I showed you, but I found that some of the knowledge gained from this research is pretty useful to contribute to this project that I'm working on now. So here I'd like to show, we have only a few slides left. I'd like to show some example on the eelgrass resiliency project. This picture was taken a part of the video that I took the Portsmouth Harbor, like a Fort Foster. Maybe you can see that here we have like a beautiful eelgrass bed in the Portsmouth. This is not the case in the Great Bay. Compared to the Portsmouth waters, and the water in the Great Bay looks like a very, like water in Croydon. It's very dirty and like brownish color, there are lots of particles. Since I'm involved in this project, I'm getting worried about the water quality, especially for the eelgrass in the Great Bay, because it sounds like it's not very healthy due to the less light available, due to the CDOM or particulate suspending matter floating around at the top, or many other issues, probably like a nutrient or others. Actually, we don't know what are the causes for the eelgrass growth. So we are now working on this topic. My contribution to this particular project is to quantify the water constituents such as phytoplankton, CDOM, suspended sediment, and which one is more contributing to the light penetration. So for that purpose, I'm using my in-water spectroradiometer to measure directly light level from the waters. as well as drone, which has multispectral or hyperspectral sensors, as well as satellite. Now we have a plan to mount our sensors on the manned aircraft to cover a wider area. So one disadvantage of the overuse of water data is that when we have a cloud cover, we don't see anything. So these two UAV and manned aircraft can compensate this or fill this gap. So we try to use the platform we have to better monitor the water quality and ingress. This is one of the examples that we did last summer using the multispectral camera using drone. So I was actually here by deploying the ECG measurement. So we are trying to get the data at the same transect to be able to compare directly to confirm that, okay, this measurement is good enough to estimate several quantities, as I said, phytoplankton, sea dam, many others. Hopefully, we'll be able to estimate eelgrass, biomass, or seaweed, and many others. So for that purpose, developing the biooptical model is essential. So we are now working on this topic as well. This is another example using the another multispectral sensor from the drone. And we got this kind of RGB image, and we are using classification methods based on the in-situ measurement to identify the red algae, eelgrass, seaweed, and many others. And this kind of technique is very important to keep tracking the changes of this vegetation over years. As a summary, we have seen the significant trend in DOC and POC, especially in the September when active layer is deepened. So now we are able to track the permafrost originating organic carbon from space. And uncertainty for this estimate didn't influence this long-term trend that I wanted to show, but without figure, it's very hard to say. As I said, by combining in-situ data, satellite remote sensing data, as well as a numerical model is very important so that we can better understand processes for details. I would mention that the incubation, as my former student did, this part is also important to be incorporated in these activities. And finally, with this kind of knowledge gained from the Arctic research, I'm trying to contribute to this eelgrass resiliency project, water quality monitoring, and many others. Again, I'm relatively new. I'm here already. It's been 3 years now. So I'll be happy to collaborate with all of you. If you're interested in, please come to see me. Let's chat. Thank you very much. I'm sorry about this. Yes.
My question is back in the Arctic. So you say you can continuously monitor the terrigenous organic carbon from space. So after September, it gets covered again by ice, but can you find it again? Can you track the fate of this material out in the ocean? Can you pick it up again in June? Is there, besides CDOM, is there like some way to tag or trace specifically terrigenous carbon and or permafrost carbon from space further along the line, further down the line as it's circulating the Beaufort gyre or down into the transporter?
Yes, that's a good question. So I didn't show the results, but we also did the survey to track this terrestrial organic matters using an independent sensor like salinity sensors. So using this DOC or POC from ocean color as well as salinity sensor, we can see where the river discharge goes. So we did this type of study. So we are able to keep tracking the river plume. But of course, it's challenging to see near the sea ice because of sea ice contamination issue. Yes.
You mentioned that the satellites return in the polar orbiting satellites multiple times a day.
Yes.
And so you can get lots of images
Right.
within select.
Yes.
What happens in our latitude? How frequently do you get images? And
So-
how would you be able to do a similar analysis here of terrestrial, say, terrestrial originating carbon or whatever?
Yes, that's a good question. Over this area, I actually look at that. More appropriate sensor is like a Landsat 8 or Sentinel-2, which has a higher resolution satellite. So 1 pixel is like a 10-meter spatial resolution, which is appropriate for the Great Bay. For this type of sensor, by combining together, we have 3 to 5 days overpasses around here. But of course, cloud cover is a major issue. So we try to, compensate with drone and sometimes satellite. And of course, we have to compare each other, the consistency between the different platforms. But yes, this is ongoing research.
So do you think you'll be able to get to the point that you can do an analysis of the fate of the organic carbon from sediments and so forth?
Yes, yes.
That's enough satellite images, it's enough to be able to do that?
Theoretically, yes.
Theoretically, yes, fair enough, that works. Yeah, all right, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for this presentation. I have a question. Do you think that the ice is influenced by the seasonal decline due to climate change?
Sea ice what?
Okay, the starting of the ice, is it like influenced by the seasonal decline? The seasonal decline?
Seasonal decay.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure if I understood correctly your question.
Okay, like
Sea
due to
ice.
climate change,
Yes.
like the season are moving.
Season, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Like a breakup season.
yeah, because like you were saying that you are studying just from July to September.
Yes.
So if we take into consideration this variation of the season, is it like going to be very influenced regarding
Yeah.
these issues?
Yeah, that's very true. Actually, due to warming, sea ice breakup is getting earlier. It depends on the area. But now, several years ago in this particular region, it was like in June, but now it's like earlier, like in May or so. So we can potentially have more data in that month as well. Same thing can be applied for the later summer. So although in this study we got data in September, but can be obtained in October. But again, this is due to the cloud cover issues. So when temperatures goes up, we have a lot of like a haze. So this makes difficult to get the satellite imagery. It's not very easy to answer this question. Technically, yes, but there's a number of the issue associated with, earlier breakup or like late freeze up of the sea ice. Again, go ahead.
These polar orbiting ocean color satellites, is there any coordination amongst the agencies that are
Yes.
putting these up to
Yes.
try and stagger the flyovers at the same spot so that you can actually get more bang for your buck?
Rather than having the same spot, but there's a long-term activity to merge several ocean color data into one single images. The basic idea is to first to have like higher frequency for many areas, And second, to increase signal to noise ratio. Simply because we have a lot of data for pixels, we have better signal. And it's called the CMEMS CCI project. Provides a lot of merged ocean color data globally. But for the Arctic, we have like a specific data set, which has higher spatial resolution. Yes.
I've heard that it looks like the survivability of eelgrass in the Great Bay is strongly correlated to the precipitation. And I think I heard that the health of the eelgrass in a given year has been at its lowest when we've had our 2 rainiest seasons.
Right.
Have you thought about going back in time to see whether or not you see this in the satellite?
Yeah, we discussed that with Carla yesterday, actually.
Yeah.
And we know this, review or presentation contribution to the eelgrass. Yes, we have a plan to look the satellite imagery in the past to see. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
So MODIS, the pair of satellites are going on 20 years and they're gonna
Yes.
have problems or be
Right.
decommissioned.
Exactly.
Is there a satellite that you're looking for to get that daily coverage?
Yes, we have like a OT, Sentinel-3. Yeah.
Okay, Sentinel-3, okay.
Yes.
Is VIIRS used at all? It's used on the-
VIIRS has a different, has a fewer bands in the visible. So OG is better for this particular, this kind of particular study. Yeah, so regarding this topic, so yes, we know that the MODIS degradation issue since 2009. So it's like a long legacy kind of ocean color launched in 2002 and still alive in the space. But we have seen like a degradation issue of the sensor level that was noticed first in 2009 and 12 as well. And calibration validation team at NASA Goddard worked on the like onboard calibration. Basically, we look at the sun, look at the moon, which is like a solar calibration, lunar calibration, as well as the desert calibration, so that we collect these signatures to be able to have like a good consistency. Yes. So my data are already corrected there. Yes.
With the newer satellites, have you been able to actually start to tease apart more differences in ocean color and different particles versus CDOM and things like that? Have you been able to play with teasing out more bands and more signals yet, or?
I'm not sure if I understood. So you're saying that the newer satellite.
Newer satellites, are you able to tease apart more information about what's in the water?
Yes. Yes. So, so for example, like the Sentinel-3 OT has much more band than MODIS. So that helps to better identify CCOM phytoplankton. January 9th, 2024, next year. So NASA Goddard will launch PACE, which is a big space mission dedicated for the ocean color, plankton, aerosol, clouds, and ocean ecosystem. This is what PACE stands for. So this will be launched next January 9th. We will see, depending on the government shutdown or so on, but now it's scheduled 9th January. So this sensor has a hyperspectral capacity as well as a polarimeter. So this will be a big game changer to detect, for example, like microplastics, harmful algae, and eelgrass or many others. So there are lots of ongoing studies regarding these topics. So my answer is yes. Yes.
Is Glimmer one of those satellites you're thinking about? Is that gonna help the work that you're doing?
Yes, Glimmer will be very helpful, but it's a bit far away from now. As far as I remember, it will be launched in 2026.
And it will have pointing capabilities on that, right?
Yes,
Steerable, pointing, dwelling times, that kind of thing.
right. But this is pretty focused on the Gulf of Mexico, as far as I
But
remember.
it can reach up at least to the Gulf of Maine. if you-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
I think-
you're right. I totally agree.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
So Glimmer, as you know, this is like a UNH led fast ocean color geostationary satellite. So basically, we try to have like a geostationary satellite like a GOES to have much more information per day, like from dawn to dusk, so that we can see the changes over time. So this is very exciting that UNH is leading this agreement. And this is scheduled to be launched. I'm not here at all. I'm not even involved neither, but I know what's going on. So it'd be great if you have any interest, just come to the OPPO colleagues so that we can discuss further.